Hello, I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. Welcome to your weekly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. Fear that an Indonesian volcano may blow its top is affecting both residents and visitors. More than 62,000 people have evacuated their homes around Mount Agung on the resort island of Bali. This followed two sizable eruptions since November 25th. Agung blasted volcanic ash thousands of meters into the air with hot mud flows flowing down its slopes. A 12-kilometer evacuation zone is in place. Bali's airport was shut down several times because of the hazard of volcanic ash, stranding thousands of travelers. But the volcano does not directly affect the tourist areas of Kuta and Seminyak, 71 kilometers away.
The trial of two women accused of assassinating a North Korean man in Malaysia will continue next year. The trial involves the poison chemical murder of the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un last February. Siti Aisyah of Indonesia and Doan Thi Huang of Vietnam have pleaded not guilty of killing Kim Jong-nam at the Kuala Lumpur airport. The trial was expected to close at the end of November, but will now resume on January 22nd. If found guilty of murder, the women face the death penalty. The Philippines has suspended a landmark public vaccination program for the dengue virus. Authorities say the immunization of 730,000 children with the dengue vaccine could pose health risks. The suspension on December 1st came after a new study by the vaccine's manufacturer, Sanofi. The company said its vaccine could worsen the potentially deadly disease in people not previously infected. The Philippines was the first country in Asia to approve the vaccine for individuals aged 9 to 45 years old in December 2015. We will talk with Sanofi's regional head shortly in this program. Singapore is working to become a cashless economy, but its model China is far ahead of the island nation. But leaders are hoping to catch up. A World Economic Forum report released last year says Singapore is one of 7 economies that has a high level of adoption in information and communications technologies. But the city-state says it's lagging behind China in terms of e-payment systems. In August, Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong dedicated part of a speech to illustrating how popular e-payment methods are in China and how Singapore has been left behind. While the e-payment trend in China started off as an initiative led by the private sector, Singapore's quest to become a cashless society is now a national priority, with the Monetary Authority of Singapore leading the effort with other government agencies to integrate the system and develop a common QR code in Singapore known as SGQR.
In China, there was a huge gap, so the large players or the innovative companies, they took that opportunity, built their innovation, the whole growth of China electronic payment story. That's how it grew.
The city-state's largest taxi operator, Comfort Delgro, also moved to introduce an e-payment option on all of its cabs in July. However, some traders and their customers said that they are more used to the traditional cash payment ways of old. Though cashless payment methods are still in their initial stage with the Singapore government pushing for the change, it should be just a matter of time before the city-state becomes a true cashless society.
In Singapore, it is almost a reverse story. Very strong electronic platform already existed. So there was an incremental need to solve that customer pain point to be solved for. So as a policymaker, we came top down.
Singapore's push for a wider use of e-payment provides a good opportunity for companies looking to expand their internet presence. Mobile payment giant Alipay, for example, has launched a local e-wallet in Singapore in August. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. How the French pharmaceutical Sanofi is working with regional governments to keep people healthy. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raisa Chantami in Jakarta. The company that suspended its dengue vaccination program in the Philippines couldn't comment directly on its product. But Sanofi's Indonesian head says the French manufacturer is working closely with the government throughout the region to improve health issues. We talked with the President Director of Sanofi, Benoit Martino, in Jakarta.
Yes, we do have a manufacturing plant in Indonesia, which basically produce half for the local market and half for exports. But if you talk about Indonesia only, we probably have the biggest range of product in the industry because we cover from prevention with our vaccines up to treatment, with especially focusing on diabetes, cardiovascular, specialty care, up to more lifestyle consumer healthcare with our newly acquired portfolio in 2017. Indonesia is a market which is about expansion, and whether it's for vaccine, for consumer healthcare, or for prescription product, we are looking at expanding our position where we focus.
How would you describe the efforts of the regional government in promoting healthcare?
We all know that healthcare is in the top priority of the current government, and they strongly demonstrated 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they started to implement universal coverage. It has been extremely transformative to this market, and as healthcare company, we can only applaud this effort of giving access to healthcare to 250 million people. It's a vision that we can all relate to, give access to healthcare to 270 million people. But obviously it's a challenge. It requires funding, and the government made and achieved their commitment of spending 5% of their budget on healthcare. But all in all, it's in the top priority of the government. They made their commitment. Having said that, this 5% of the budget only translate in 3% of the GDP, which is relatively low. The worldwide benchmark being in the range of 6 to 6.5%.
What is Sanofi's strategy in dealing with the increase in consumer demands?
Our objective is to ensure that patients are treated. So that's why we have a strategy which is focus on where we can make impact, but also a strategy of partnership to ensure that we don't only send and sell treatment in the market, but we also partner with healthcare professionals, with authorities to ensure that the products are well used, that the patients are well treated, and at the end it translates to either the patient to be cured or being at goal. On the consumer side, we recently acquired a portfolio of products globally in 2017, and we're moving from being a rather small player in consumer healthcare to a more dominant player.
What are the biggest challenges in Southeast Asia?
In terms of health, I would say that now the biggest challenge is non-communicable disease. Basically, more having a middle class which is growing translate in more and more non-communicable disease. You can think about diabetes. If you take Indonesia, currently you have 10 to 12 million diabetic patients in Indonesia. By 2030, we expect to cross the 20 million people. And Southeast Asia is morely following the same patterns. Lifestyle disease, so diabetes, hypertension, and all these metabolic diseases are one of the biggest burdens that is raising, because not only it gives difficulty and challenges for healthcare authorities to treat it now, treat the side effects, but it also raises potential future consequences by having this very big cohort of patients which is going to need more and more support and treatment.
Dengue fever is a viral infection transmitted by mosquitoes and can cause death if left untreated. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
The danger and beauty of Bali's Mount Agung, that's still ahead.
This is ASEAN Today, coming to you from Jakarta, home of the ASEAN Secretariat. As we reported earlier, a vaccine program for dengue fever was stopped in the Philippines over safety concerns. ASEAN Today's Fauzil Azim reports that parents hope their kids are okay.
After school on weekdays, Children play and hang out with each other as usual. But some parents are worried. The Philippines was the first country in Asia to approve the use of Dengvaxia, the world's first dengue vaccine. Not long after that approval, it was distributed and administered by the government through a school-based immunization program. More than 700,000 Filipinos, many of them children, received the vaccine over the past year, believing it would protect them against dengue. 12-year-old Iron Laste got vaccinated, and now he is suspected of having dengue.
There's news on TV that kids should not have been given the dengue virus, right? Now he has a fever that comes and goes. I'm very worried.
Gina Enriquez's 10-year-old son had also been recently vaccinated.
He had a fever yesterday. I told him it's his fault. He insisted on getting vaccinated. His father said no, it's the health department's fault.
The previous Aquino government is taking much of the blame for its decision to purchase $70 million worth of Dengvaxia, while there were still concerns about the vaccine's safety. Now, the manufacturer Sanofi says only those with a history of dengue infection are protected by the vaccine. As an investigation continues, the current government was quick to clarify that only a small fraction of those who received the vaccine are in danger of developing severe dengue. And that severe doesn't mean deadly. But to these parents and kids, it's small comfort. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The Ati-Atihan Festival will be held from January 15th to the 21st in Calibo, Philippines. St. Jerome's Laneway Festival is set for January 27th in Singapore. And the Khon Kaen International Marathon will run from January 29th in Khon Kaen, Thailand. The rumblings of Mount Agung on Indonesia's Bali Island is nothing new. As ASEAN Today's Wendy Widiantini reports, Balinese view the island as a blessing and a danger.
While many are cautious of the physical danger Mount Agung presents, a deeper spiritual sense is prominent among people across the island. Bali is known as the Island of Gods for a reason. Its people are rooted in traditions that date back as far as 2,000 years ago. Daily offerings of white jasmine flowers can be found around the island, symbolizing a strong cultural background. That same culture believes that Mount Agung, Bali's tallest volcano, embodies much more than what meets the eye. To the Balinese, Agung has a deeper meaning. The mountain is associated with power, and its constant rumbles now act as a reminder of the people's spiritual relationship with their ancestors. The name Agung means great, describing a volcano that had been dormant for more than 50 years until September. The last time it erupted in 1963, hundreds of villages were destroyed and more than 1,600 people killed from hot volcanic ash and lava flows.
Ya itu kalau masalah Gunung Agungnya keadaannya seperti sekarang ini, ya boleh dikatakan semua masyarakat Bali zaman ini.
Mangku Kari guards a sacred temple on the slopes of the volcano. He believes Mount Agung isn't merely a volcano, but a conscious being with a soul.
Peringatan lagi beliau mempunyai peringatan kepada umat Hindu supaya umat Hindu ini mau menyembah dengan tulus ikhlas gitu Pak. Kalau mau semua umat Hindu mau sujud bakti tulus dan ikhlas.
For now, the Balinese people will continue to watch and worship the mountain, hoping their offerings and prayers can keep it from a destructive end. Wendy Widiantini for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. As ASEAN Chair in 2018, Singapore hopes to connect its members digitally. The goal is to link ASEAN's people and economies seamlessly in a network of smart cities. Singapore leaders plan to push digital technology to cut across national boundaries. Among the potential benefits, ASEAN's migrant workers will be able to remit their salaries at more affordable rates. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time.